And good evening, this is Bob W6CGX, and I'll be your net control operator for tonight's Papa Great Outdoor Net. This net meets every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. Pacific. This is a directed net, so please go through net control at all times, and your cooperation is always greatly appreciated. Stations with emergency or priority traffic can come into the net at any time with a double break, and net control will respond appropriately. The Papa system is an open membership supported system in the Southern California area with coverage from the Mexican border to Paso Robles and from the Channel Islands to Las Vegas, Nevada. If you're a visitor to the Papa system tonight, I invite you to go to papasys.com, that's PAPASYS.com, and register as a guest. With your guest registration, you'll have 45 days of free access to the Papa system. At the end of your one-time 45-day guest access period, we'd love for you to become a subscribed member, continue to use the Papa system on a daily basis, and be part of the Papa system family. However, all amateurs are welcome to participate in the daily, weekly, and monthly Papa system nets regardless of their membership status. Again, this is the Papa system Great Outdoor Net. And good evening. I think we're live. No, I had the internet reset or something there. This is Bob from W6CGX, and this is the Papa System Great Outdoor Net here on Sunday evenings, 8 p.m. Pacific. And this is the place to be if you like the great outdoors, which I think a lot of us do. And some noteworthy news. I have a real cricket in the shack tonight. I just didn't want to forget he's over here. Well, he was on my mouse pad, so maybe it's a cricket pad, but I'm waiting for him to fire up and those rear legs or however they make that great cricket sound, and we'll see what he's made of. And so if you hear any random cricket sounds during the net, you'll know that's what it is. Okay, let's jump into the announcements. They're a little bit long. We do have one breakfast for this new month coming up. Be the Valley Breakfast. Won't have the Inland Empire Breakfast, and there won't be any testing for any radio ham license at all for the month of December, at least in the events that we are having. So stand by.
Here are the Papa System weekly announcements. For the month of December, we will not be having the Papa Inland Empire Breakfast. The Papa Valley Breakfast. Papa will be meeting in person on Saturday, December 13th, at 7:30 a.m. at Lulu's Restaurant. 16900 Roscoe Boulevard, Van Nuys, California. Everyone is welcome, so come on out for a chance to meet and visit with your ham radio friends that you talk with on the air. Please RSVP for the Valley Breakfast on the Papa website. There will be no radio testing for the month of December. The Papa System will be hosting 2 celebrations to close out 2025. We will be celebrating another great year in amateur radio on the Papa System. We look forward to joining together and celebrating the successes we have had this year. Our traditional Fiesta Norte, this year, at a new location in the San Gabriel Valley on December 14th, 11 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. at Villa Katrina. The new location is at 251 North Santa Anita Avenue in Arcadia, California. And Fiesta del Sur, at Cocina del Charro, on December 20th, 11 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. at 1020 West San Marcos Boulevard, in San Marcos, California. Price for your Fiesta meal, including tax and tip, is just $36. Please use the Papa website to RSVP and purchase your meal at least 2 weeks ahead of time so we can get an accurate head count for both restaurants. You can pay by PayPal, Venmo, or credit card on the Papa website. You will be able to select the quantity of meals and enter your names and call signs. Please note, you will only be able to purchase the Fiesta raffle prize tickets at the Fiestas. We will have over $27,000 in raffle prizes between both of the Papa Fiestas this year. Please see the Papa website for a list of the raffle prizes that will be available. The Fiesta raffle prize tickets are $20 each and payable by check or cash. Cecil will update us on the work that has been done this year and what we can look forward to in 2026. Remember that the Papa System is a 501c3, so all donations could be a great tax deduction. The money from your donations will go towards improving the system infrastructure. So please, don't forget to RSVP as soon as possible and purchase your Fiesta meal tickets on the Papa website. We are looking forward to seeing everyone at the fiestas for this year's events. The USS Midway Museum radio team, NI6IW, will be on the air on Saturday, December 13th, from 0900 to 1600 Pacific Time. They will be commemorating Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day from December 7th, 1941. Please check the PAPA website for all modes and frequencies. The PAPA system would like to wish all of our PAPA family members a great holiday season and look forward to another fantastic new year, 2026, here on the PAPA system. All this information and a whole lot more can be found on the PAPA website at papasys.com.
Okay, well, 2026. That's scary. It just seems like it just turned to 2025. But gotta get used to hearing that and saying it, I guess, too. So, yeah, just look forward to seeing. We're going to go to Fiesta Norte. We've got our tickets ready, Carolyn and I, so we'll see everybody there that's going to Fiesta Norte. And of course, the day before there will be the Valley Breakfast. So if you can't make it maybe to the Fiesta, you can at least get together and see everybody before the holidays come. Okay, with that, let me see if there's any other announcements at this time. I'll stand by. All right. Well, I'd say I hear nothing but crickets, but he's not making any noise. I wish I could show you a picture of him. I sent a couple of them out to a few of my friends and family. He's kind of cute, actually. If you guys want to name him, you're welcome to do that. Get extra bonus points for that tonight. Let's check in with our field reporter, Steve, KI6LOV. What you got for us tonight, Steve? I think he went to the cabin, it sounded like. Go ahead, you got the mic.
Well, good evening, Bob, and everyone out here on the Great Outdoor Net. This is Steve, KI6LOV, and indeed I was out at my cabin this weekend, and it was a glorious time with beautiful weather, a little breezy on Saturday and into Saturday night, but just Sunday was so clear and wonderful. And I'm feeling a little nostalgic tonight, and so this report is a little more personal than some of mine are. And I don't know how many people know, but right next door, about 100 feet upstream from me, is cabin 139. And it's owned by a wonderful couple, Dave and Gwen. And out of the 50 years I've been up there in the upper Winter Creek, I've known Dave and Gwen for a little more than 40 years. So we have decades of friendship based on having those cabins out in the wilderness. And we, back in the day, we would spend quite a few evenings having a little dinner together or some cocktails. And then maybe about 6 years ago, Gwen retired, so their schedule changed. So like I say, for about the last 5 or 6 years, I didn't see them very often. And we would keep in touch, of course, by text message and phone calls. But the only time I really saw them out in the canyon was when I would be hiking in on Saturday morning, and they'd be hiking down after doing a Thursday and Friday night trip to their cabin. So yesterday afternoon, things changed. And I was out there doing my follow-up chores at the end of the day, and I heard voices, and there they were, coming in for an overnight. So it was a fabulous evening, reminiscing with Dave and Gwen about some of the stories from back in the day, and it's always fun when I would tell a story and they would help correct the facts a little bit and vice versa. So it was just a wonderful time. We had a cocktail at their cabin and then came back over and had dinner sitting in front of the fire at my cabin, and it was just a wonderful time. So all day today, getting ready to go and hiking down, I was feeling very nostalgic and just blessed to be have that cabin out there for all these years. So there I have wonderful friends for many decades, and I would never have met them if I hadn't had my cabin out there in Winter Creek. And it's just a singular experience and something extra special. But I'd also like to say that I'd like to remind everyone to please go forward every day with gratitude. We have Thanksgiving coming up. Be thankful for what you have, and I hope you have a fabulous holiday. This is KI6LOV Steve here, back to Net Control.
Well, that was beautiful. A great nostalgic story of friendship for all those years, and especially given that it's getting close to Thanksgiving, so you're thankful for them and their friendship, I'm sure. I think I'm going to name my cricket Gwen. Hope he or she doesn't leave before the end of the net. It's staying in one place. Unless I try to touch it with my pen, then he kind of freaks out. But I really enjoyed your story last night on the Saturday night roundtable. It was great. But the air cargo drop for Thanksgiving, I mean, wow, that was priceless. So with that, not that that's our subject for tonight, but being that this is a week of food, especially on a Thursday if you participate, and if you don't, you might go out and get something nice to eat. It is a week of Thanksgiving and a week of just giving thanks for what we have and everything. So I do appreciate you, Steve, and I just wanted to say my thanks and my gratitude to you. There you go. So for tonight, kind of gonna name this net Chef in the Wild. Okay, so, but what I'd like to do is share a little bit of history of backpacking food. I knew a little bit about it. I didn't know all the particulars, so I rounded up some information that I thought we might enjoy. So let's have a listen.
The history of backpacking food evolved from the need for food for early explorers, which included hardtack, pocket soup and tea. The development of modern freeze-dried meals in the mid-20th century, driven by military needs and commercial companies like Dry Light Foods, Backpackers Pantry, and Mountain House. Early modern backpacking food relied on dehydrated and freeze-dried products for lightweight and long-lasting convenience, but today's options are more varied, incorporating energy bars and a wider range of fresh or pre-prepared meals. Military influence. The U.S. military's need for lightweight, long-lasting rations for troops was a major driver for innovation in food preservation. First dehydrated meals. In 1951, Anne Benedict started Dry Light Foods, now Backpackers Pantry, by dehydrating meals in her garage, inspired by a difficult trip with heavy, canned food. Freeze-drying technology. NASA's development of freeze-drying for space missions provided a new technology for preserving food with its nutritional value intact, and the process was adopted by the outdoor industry. Commercialization. Oregon Freeze Dry launched the Mountain House brand in 1969 to sell military-style freeze-dried meals to the public through retailers like REI. These are some of the best examples of backpacking meals available to you for your next outdoor adventure.
Okay, I just thought that was interesting. I didn't know the particulars about Backpackers Pantry. I've seen it before a lot of times. Very expensive, and so is Mountain House now. It always kind of was. But there are definitely some good choices if you want to, spend the money. There's also alternatives, and maybe some of you that have done some backpacking or just regular camping that have some alternative type foods like, ramen and canned sausages, I don't know, little things like that I used to take on some of the camping trips to kind of avoid taking the expensive freeze-dried meals. But then I realized that I was like having this wonderful little vacation out in the middle of the wilderness, and why shouldn't I just have something really nice? So I started doing backpack meals with mostly Mountain House, unless something was on sale, and they were good. They were very, very good. And I even took some of those to the island until I realized we could bring an ice chest and maybe we could cook some real food. But it's definitely handy and it's very nutritious, I think. Okay, with that, let's see, what else do we have? I don't think we have too much else. Oh, just wanted to mention, as far as topics go, if you've ever had a Thanksgiving out in the great outdoors, I did. I can share that. And maybe some of you have. I mean, an actual Thanksgiving dinner. I don't know how many people have done that, but I did as a child. I didn't cook it. I just had to try to eat it. And then the other thing is, what's your favorite type of food to take camping? Do you want to just take some steaks? You like put baked potatoes in the fire like we used to do? Things like that. So this is going to be a foodie net for the great outdoors. So this is W6CJX, and let's take some check-ins, see who's out there tonight. Please come now.
Kilo 6, Hotel November Golf.
Kilo Foxtrot 4, Papa Quebec Hotel.
Kilo Oscar 6, Kilo Papa Zulu.
November 6, Hotel Alpha Lima.
All right. We got a few regulars there, and we'll see what you've got in mind. Anything's fair game, especially if it has relation to food in any way. That's kind of what the whole purpose of the net tonight is, just to kind of talk about, the food. And of course, we have Thanksgiving coming up, so you can always tell us about your plans if you have anything. And if you don't, and you just want to check in and say hi, you're more than welcome. All right, let's start off with Adrian. I know Adrian, spending many, many years on the island with you, you do really well without using like freeze-dried food. You do really, really well as far as making your lunch, your dinners, mostly breakfasts and dinners, and utilizing your cup for like your oatmeal cup. Use that for maybe your soup at night, and vice versa. So go ahead, Adrian, and welcome to the net tonight.
Evening, Bob and everybody there on the net. This is Adrian, KK6HNG. Yeah, you see, it's interesting. Camping food. Yeah, it kind of intrigued me and interested me because, well, on one side, I don't want to do a full cooking because that will take too much time, and I don't go in the outdoors to cook. I go in the outdoors to see the outdoors generally, so I would prefer to minimize the cooking time. So then, starting to look for all kind of options like canned food, freeze-dried, of course, but looking also a little non-conventional things, like, for example, the string cheeses that you find at Trader Joe, that will last very, very well. There is one with salami and one with prosciutto as well. Okay, those will do very good as well. But going even farther than that. So basically figured out that you can do omelets, just full egg powder, like complete egg powder with seasoning, with string cheese, of course, with coconut oil, because it tastes better if you put a little oil, and it doesn't stick that bad on the stainless steel little pan. And yes, a little metal plate to dissipate the heat, and all that goodies. And sure enough, the experiment worked so good that I tried it several times actually. So yeah, freeze-dry fruit like blueberries, for example, yes. And I'm still investigating other options. Recently, I got a little book about drying food. No, not freeze-drying. I can't justify a freeze-dryer for the little backpacking that I do. But normal heat-drying stuff, I want to investigate how well that thing will work. So I have already a setup that would heat dry, and we'll see how that goes. So anyway, pretty nice. And talking of Thanksgiving, no, I didn't have really a backpacking Thanksgiving, but in that wonderful canyon that Steve has his cabin in, about 2 times I was invited at a Thanksgiving dinner at one of the cabin owners there, together with a few others. And, well, it was not exactly camping, but as close as it gets. KK6HNG, back to net control.
Well, I would definitely say that qualifies as camping in the great outdoors. You just have a little sturdier tent to sleep in at night or whatever. But no, I didn't even realize that you got to do that. That's really awesome. I mean, just to be able to go up there to the cabins and see everything alone is great, but get to actually go a couple times for dinner. That's really, really neat. Yeah, you've done really well with all your. I know you get like some noodles from Trader Joe's, and I think my claim to fame, not that I invented it, but I used to take the cup of noodles, or I guess that's what you call them, right? Cup noodles, and that you pour water in, let it sit for a little bit, and then you eat your noodles. So I would eat that for like a lunch. If it was like an overnight backpack trip, I would use that and have that for my lunch. Maybe have some, I don't know, beef jerky or some beef sticks or something for a little extra protein. And then I'd just save that styrofoam cup and use that the next morning for my oatmeal. So I'd pour a little packet of oatmeal in there. And I know Adrian puts blueberries in his, and I think chocolate too. So I'm sure it's really good. I've seen him make it several times. Thank you, Adrian. Yeah, that sounds great. And the egg powder, yeah, it actually looked edible. And I know it's quite edible, but I just mean, from someone observing from afar, it looked pretty good. Let's say hello to Ron, KF4PQH. Let's say hello to Ron. Welcome. I bet you guys had some awesome Thanksgivings out in the great outdoors somewhere.
It's KF4PQH out in Locust Grove, Virginia. Actually, I'm cooking Thanksgiving turkey this week. Our son and daughter-in-law and granddaughter are coming over, so it looks like it's going to be the five of us. And if any stragglers or strangers want to come join us, they're always welcome, so anybody's there. Talking about freeze-dried foods and stuff, so, from about March 68 to 69, I got my share of sea rations, which weren't freeze-dried, but every once in a while we got a hold of some of what they called LRP rations, like Lima Romeo Papa, and that stood for Long Range Recon Patrol, and these were people that they drop in a helicopter in the middle of the jungle somewhere, and they just sit out there and avoid making contact with people and try and find out who's moving around where. And that was kind of the start of the freeze-dried stuff, if I remember correctly, with the Army at that time. So as far as Thanksgivings out in the wild, some of the folks that I knew and hung around with in the Army days, they used to do an annual gathering of people who were ever around at Victory Lake, which is out near Yuma, for Thanksgiving. They get anywhere from maybe 10 or 15 RVs to get out there and gather. We were usually somewhere with a friend someplace or other places. When we were in Awanga, we did a couple Thanksgivings out there where the group provided turkeys, and we did covered dishes for all the sides and sat together, had a good time. I do have a memory, I think it was about 1966, camping with my cousin. First time I think my cousin had ever gone camping. I don't know if you'd call it camping or not, but we set up a tarp basically on the bank of the Delaware River, a place called Kittatinny Beach, and got a fire going and stuff. It was a nice area, and I had brought a couple of filet mignons, a bottle of Chivas Regals, some baked potatoes, and good seasonings, and we sat out there, and that was our dinner that night. Then I remember Scouts, one of my favorite things, and still today is to make once in a while, is get some aluminum foil, put some ground beef on it, and anything else you want to put in there with it, and some sauces, and fold it up and throw it on the coals and let it go. That's a great outdoor cooking for me. So 7-3 to everybody out there. Happy Thanksgiving. Stay safe. And this is KF4PQH. Back to net control.
Well, happy Thanksgiving to you indeed. Definitely. You indeed. Indeed. That sounds like a lot of fun of doing that. I know there's people that still eat MREs, meals ready to eat. But I think I tried one time. I think all I had was a cracker. Or some crackers, and they weren't too bad. They tasted like stale crackers, but they're all vacuum sealed. If you're really hungry, Like you can get some of these Mountain House buckets, and I'm not just focusing on Mountain House, although would probably prefer that one. But there's other brands out there, Wise Foods. I think we have some of those. Those are all vegetarian or vegan, I think even. But the 30-year shelf life, you just can't beat that. And believe me, if it was like 31 years and all of a sudden we have the natural disaster or something and we have no food, I'm eating it either way. If it's a 1 year out of expiration, I'm still going to eat it. How bad could it be, right? Thank you, Ron. Yeah, sounds good that you guys had some good times out there with a lot of great friends. Spent a lot of good times with everybody in the RV. So I know you miss it. And maybe you can get out there and take some small trips, local ones. I think that you were going to do that. All right, well, take care and happy Thanksgiving to you. Let's say hello to Andy, KO6KPZ. Welcome, Andy.
Thank you, Bob. I'm going to kind of piggyback on Ron. When we were growing up, my friend's brother-in-law, he was a Green Beret, and introduced us to the LERPs rations, which is good. We found them at the Army Surplus store, and almost anything tastes good. But we'd bring our trail mix, our beef jerky, and that type of thing. Freeze-dried foods are good. Sea rats are a little heavy, but those LERPs rations are very light for backpacking, which is good. And I backpacked a lot and ate a lot of dry freeze-dried foods, that type of thing. But, my eggs are the one thing. I'd always break the eggs, get them out of their shell, put them in a plastic container, and backpack with them. It's about 3 days worth. It's about as long as they last. I do not like powdered eggs. So, backpacking trips last about a week. And the first 3 days having fresh eggs, that's pretty good. As far as Thanksgiving and the outdoors, I don't know. We've gone turkey hunting and camping, and we'd cook our harvest a turkey, and have that, cook it over the open fire, and that's always pretty good. But yeah, as far as freeze-dried food, I mean, it's the future. All those survival foods, everything out there. Everyone, you can use those. Anyways, those are my thoughts. Back to that. Thank you, Bob. KO6 KPC.
Well, if I remember right, they have some of those MREs and such have a heater built in, like a chemical pack that will heat it up. So that's pretty neat. You got to admit that's some of that stuff that came up with, and like you said, definitely when you're burning, thousands of calories through the day, doing some aggressive hiking or wherever you're going, and when it comes to that meal, man, it could be just about anything. It doesn't really matter, but you want to make it good, and that's where I made that decision. I thought, here I'm hiking. It wasn't like I went that far, but I was spending a couple nights in the wilderness, and I thought, why not treat myself? What am I doing? Just eating cups of noodles all the time. I still took those too, but then I would have a nice Mountain House. And they do make a scramble, like a breakfast scramble, that's actually good. So I think they're powdered eggs, but it's all in the timing, how much water you put in. And you don't want it to turn into soup. I've done that a couple of times. It was supposed to be chili mac, and it turned into chili mac soup. W6CJX for the Papa System, Great Outdoor Net. We're talking food. Why not? It's the week of Thanksgiving. That's pretty much the main thing and main focal point, other than football. But no, not everybody's into football, or probably into food. All right, Andy, thank you. And let's say hello to Hal, N6HAL.
November 6, Hotel Alpha Lima. Good evening, Bob. Thanks for the net. Fortunately, I was fortunate that most of my camping in the desert and the mountains, my backpack usually had 8 wheels on it, so I didn't have to worry about packing too much on my back because I had a RV, a trailer, motorhome, or something. But we were fortunate when we go out camping like that. We usually have our typical home meals: steak, hamburgers, hot dogs, what have you, pizza. wife, if she felt like it, she'd cook up some nice pot roast or something. But we did do the Vienna sausages for snacks. We did jalapeno eggs. They were good. We always took those out there. And when we go out there, we did like Ron did. We had a group of motorhomes form a circle, like Circle the Wagons, and we went out there for like 3 years in a row Thanksgiving, and each year we went out, it got bigger and better. But one time we had turkeys that were cooked 4 different ways. We had buried in a pit turkeys. We had the deep fried turkeys in the grease bucket. We had baked turkey in an oven from one of the motorhomes, and we had rotisserie turkey. So we had a pretty good feast out there. Bob, for you, a suggested name for your cricket. How about Jiminy? Back to the net, November 6th, Hotel Alpha Lima.
All right, we got one vote for Jiminy. I can just call him Jim. Is he still? Oh, he's still there. Okay, I just checking on him. He's moved though, hasn't he? Maybe he hasn't. He'll move if I touch him. I just couldn't believe I got in here tonight setting things up, got the computer on. I looked down and on my mouse pad, which is a mouse pad, there was this cricket. At first I thought it was a spider, but then I went, it's a cricket. Of course, it's the outdoor net desk station. And I've got a mascot now, so if I can just keep him around. I really want him to sing, or what do they do, their little leg thing. That would be great. Oh, that sounds really wonderful. Definitely having 4 or 5 different turkeys going. I think that would be amazing. And I'll just tell, since we'll get some more stations here. My Thanksgiving fiasco, and like I said, I was a kid, so I just was there to pretty much eat. We were camping with some really good friends out of Idlewild that we knew, and we went down to Lake Havasu and thought we'd be a great time to go camping. Well, it was also a great time for a windstorm, and that wind, they had a trailer, and I'm thinking we still had a tent. My parents still had the old canvas tents that we talked about in one of the nets before, and it was a blue tent, and boy, I'm telling you, did that change the color of the food. So we put in a card table. You remember those, folding card table. Got some chairs. We all got inside the tent and ate our Thanksgiving. Our friend heated up the turkey and everything in their camper. That they had a camper, it wasn't an RV, just on the back of the truck, as far as I remember. And but everything looked really weird. Everything turned blue. So the cheese or the butter looked like cheese, and it was just. And I remember my parents complaining more. I was just eating. I didn't care. I ate it. Close your eyes and eat, and shut up, sit down. All right, W6EJX for the Papa System Great Outdoor Net. We're talking foodies for this week, especially outdoor food, and any of the dehydrated kind or real food, if you like. Let's see who else is out there. Please come now.
Kilo Delta 6, Lima Bravo, Logan on All-Star.
K6BFN, John.
Okay, I'm going to go way out on a limb on this one. Testing my net control skills. I got Logan, I got John, and I think I got Steve, WA6FGW. Can you confirm?
Roger.
Okay, I amazed myself. That was, so when you, well, you guys could hear what I heard, but I just had a snippet of Steve's voice, and I knew it was him. Isn't that awesome? I mean, I'm not bragging on myself. I'm just saying that's cool that I can do that. Logan, let's get me out of here. KD6LLB, what's going on, Logan? And I know we've kind of had this conversation before. Logan used to bring us out some amazing food to the island. I don't know what he was thinking, unless he was trying to fatten us up, but he did a good job of it. And there was always some good stuff that he'd bring, salmon in a packets. And what else did we have? God, we had so many good things that Logan, I think he was kind of cleaning out his cupboard, but it worked and we enjoyed it. Go ahead, Logan. Welcome.
Thanks, Bob. This is Logan, KD6LLB. And yeah, the unused junk at the bottom of my cupboard that is expired you're welcome to as much of that as you need. No, that was not expired food. It's actually stuff that I like and I wanted to share it. So yeah, I have a lot of thoughts about food. I'm not especially fussy on the one hand, but I definitely learned a few things. I have brought the wrong stuff on some trips, and it really can mess up your trip if you're hungry or your food's not doing the job it should do. So one thing I definitely learned long ago was after 10 or 12 hours under a heavy backpack at 10 or 12,000 feet, you'll start looking at marmots. It's incredible. It's like suddenly you're on the Tour de France and you'll eat all your food in like one meal. But a couple of things that came to mind to mention: the brook trout in the Sierras. I never knew how to. I had poor luck. I didn't consider them food until a friend of mine, Naoko, from Japan, showed me how to cook them, and she also showed me how to catch them. I learned that I shouldn't waste my time with a fly fishing rig. I needed a spin caster, and very effective one, sort of what I grew up with, and make sure that I had the rig dialed in so that I could cast into a hurricane if I had to. And if you have a rig that will get the bait that you're using, usually like salmon eggs and little hooks. Anyway, if you can get to the fish, everybody who's fly casting is going to be out of luck, and you can catch your limit and their limit. And of course, we didn't break any rules. If you learn how to cook and catch the brook trout, they turn out to be a pretty good food supply. And what else? We used to make sort of homemade Cliff Bars for mountain biking, and I thought, you needed that kind of lean fuel for mountain biking. And then one day, a friend gave me a peanut butter and banana and honey sort of a sandwich. It was on toast. It's like not what I thought you should eat before a bike ride. And we were headed up in Topanga State Park, but it's food, and I ate it anyway. And it turned out to be really good fuel for exercise, and it was kind of an eye opener. And another friend of mine, Hank, is European, French, and he would bring cheese and crackers and wine and chocolate and sausage, and I thought, this isn't hiking food. And then I realized, no, but it's really good. And anyway, I definitely learned a lot. But one of the main things that I learned, if you're traveling anywhere where you can't restock, bring extra. You definitely want to be able to share, because somebody's going to bring a frozen pizza that they can't cook in the wild or whatever. And you may need it, and count on needing more calories, and test everything at home. Like, cook it, eat it, see if you can live on it. And, especially with coffee, instant coffee, some actually has caffeine, some doesn't. Anyway, I have a lot of thoughts on it, but as far as Thanksgiving outdoors, that's never been an option, because turkeys need ovens and family, and or good friends. And so, yeah, I don't think I've ever been camping on Thanksgiving, but all right, I've rambled way too much. It's great to hear everyone. I hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving. I'm looking forward to the net on Wednesday evening. Thanks, Bob. KD6LLB.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. That's going to be great. And Carolyn is looking forward to doing the second half, or maybe Steve will give her a little bit extra just for that special night, the night before Thanksgiving. Yeah, you're right. I was thinking about the rationing, or if you had to ration your food, how hard that would be. Let's say you get one Hershey bar square, or I kind of like the Trader Joe's dark chocolate myself. You get one little piece of that for the day, and then you you have to save the rest. So that would be pretty difficult. And you get my vote for the peanut butter and honey sandwich. Banana's going to go turn on you a little bit, but that was my go-to trail food, which I mentioned here before. And now we've discovered, what is it? San Luis sourdough has that long loaf that's all sliced, already sliced for you. It's a little pricey, but they're just the right size little sandwich. They're small, but not that small, small enough. And we did that on a couple of road trips for a long time. Just put honey, peanut butter and honey. It just kind of like glazes together. It's a kind of a miramosis type thing. Is that a word? Anyway, it's good. And if you want to throw some raisins on it, hey, all the better. All right, Logan, thank you so much. Have a really good Thanksgiving. Hopefully I get to talk to you before. We'll hear you on Wednesday. Maybe we'll get everybody out there on Wednesday. That should be a lot of fun. And let's go to John, K6PFN. John, what's going on, my friend? And welcome to the net.
Hello, Bob and the net. I love this topic. I'm taking some notes, learning some things. My comments. Mountain House is great, and yeah, it's why not splurge and get Mountain House for your freeze dried meals. But when you don't do that, just some things that I do. Starkist makes packets of tuna and also chicken, so already cooked stuff. Those are really they're at any grocery store, so they're cheap and great for ready-made meals. Another thing that someone taught me was with butter, or you just need butter or a fat in general, getting ghee. I think it's sort of from Indian cuisine, but ghee, clarified butter, it's shelf stable. You can get it at Trader Joe's, so that's a really useful thing to have in your backpack. For Thanksgiving, I've never camped on Thanksgiving. A week or two before Thanksgiving, I did go to a scout camp out that kind of did Thanksgiving weekend early, or Thanksgiving dinner early, and they did it all in Dutch ovens. So we had a whole bunch of cast iron cookery, and they did turkeys and stuffing and whatnot, and it was excellent. So anyway, happy Thanksgiving to all. Back to you, K6PFN.
I mean, how much better can a Thanksgiving dinner taste in the great outdoors when you're out? Everything tastes great when you're out in the wilderness or somewhere. It doesn't have to be wilderness. It can be just a campsite type of thing, a campground. But you're outdoors and you're, relying on that, and you don't have your convenience of a nice kitchen with a wall oven or whatever, and you make do. I think even Mountain House, I was looking for that today just for fun, see if they had turkey like with gravy and stuffing. I think they do. I just didn't find it in time for this. And one of my inspirations for this net, as far as like I was going to title the Chef in the Wild, when I lived in Idlewild, or when we lived in Idlewild, there was the restaurant, which was Ben Rennie Restaurants, but at that time was called Chef in the Forest. And he was a really good internationally known chef. I'm trying to remember his actual name. I had it all written out, but it's not that important. I just remember him being the chef. He used to have the tall white hat with the red bandana around his neck, and did a lot of like German cuisines. And unfortunately, on the way up the hill from Hemet, when he was coming back with his wife and his son, I think, and a friend, the friend fell asleep that was driving this truck, and they crashed into this rock. I think the rock's still there. And because we used to go down and look at it and go, oh my gosh, but he passed away from that. And that was sad. And then it became the Chart House, one of my favorite restaurants. I grew up with the Chart House right next door to my dad's real estate office. All right, I'll get off my soapbox now. Thank you, John. That was very good. And the only camping we did was, I think one year we went up to Kachuma, and the people next to us were having a huge Thanksgiving get together with family and friends. And they asked, would you guys be willing to switch campsites so that their friends could be right next to them, like where we were? And we're like, yeah, we want to get, if it's going to be a big group, let's get on the other side. So that worked out really good. And then we didn't do Thanksgiving. We did it that weekend. It was a Thursday, Friday. Came home Saturday and made a turkey. All right, that's it. Let's say hello to Steve, WA6FGW. Welcome, Steve.
Okay. Good evening, Bob and Nanette. This is WA6 Foxtrot Gulf Whiskey, and I'll start with the positive or maybe more unique foods that our group has had over the years. And some of this is from Boy Scout, through cooking for a large group, as well as later on one of our key guys for doing all the food ahead of time. Did a couple, 3 years, mostly during the summer, as a trail camp. You're hiking along, and there's 20, 30 guys and gals whacking away at trails and putting the logs where they belong to maintain a clean and safe trailhead. So he was like dedicated to the food on that. So he had lots of chances to learn about ways to combine stuff. And one of the things that came out, I can't remember if it was from the trail camp or from the Boy Scouts, is that every now and then we would treat the kids to cheesecake. And believe it or not, if you go to the store and get the traditional cheesecake, it has everything you need, I think, except for possibly the fruit, the cherries and whatnot. That might be a separate can to be purchased at a later point. But when you figure out when you're getting it put together, and you get to the point of, well, how am I going to cool this dough or whatever, the pudding that goes inside the cheesecake, and that's it. And some creek. Hopefully, you have a creek. You have to plan ahead, of course. And as long as it overflow, dirty water into the pan, you got yourself a nice, tasty a piece of cheesecake waiting for you at the end before everybody hits the sack. Okay, but other things that might be of interest, pita bread and tortillas are really fantastic to take on trips because they're pretty much indestructible. If nothing else, you can use them for frisbees, before you throw them on the open fire or whatever and cook stuff up. So, and the pitas as well. And whatever else you have in that respect usually will last a couple, 3, 4 days, 5 days of a trip. Another thing we found is real tasty is the Spam with the bacon flavored. It doesn't sound particularly appealing to most people, but heck, what the heck, go ahead and give it a whirl. Another thing, if someone mentioned pancakes and whatnot, and you can either bring a small bottle of syrup or brown sugar and other things, and I don't remember what the other contents were, but it was certainly an acceptable version of that. Let's see, fishing, of course. I totally agree on the fishing that's been mentioned, and that's a great way to go. Let's see, I'm sure there's something I've forgotten, but anyway, just hang in there and make it happen. Go ahead, WA6FGW.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, hang in there. I remember you talking about making a cobbler one time, and I was trying to picture the guy that had to carry the cast iron kettle. I think that was part of it. Maybe not. Maybe I'm, a lot of the stuff you can make ahead of time. I remember back in backpacking school, and did I ever go to backpacking school? I don't know. I think I made it all as I went. Getting zip bags and putting a lot of your stuff in there, like rice or those mashed potatoes. Instant mashed potatoes is another real easy thing, just to add some boiling water to. And then the instant rice is probably easier than having to wait 20 minutes for it to cook on the stove. But and then you can use the Ziploc bags for leftovers or whatever. And tortillas and pita definitely work great on that. And bagels, if you really want to get fancy. My daughter loved her bagels, so we used to always take they get a little heavy. I made her carry them, the bagels, but they do travel quite well too. Well, thank you, Steve. You've got a lot of good experience there, and thanks for sharing all that with us. As always, we do appreciate everything that you have and do. I just can't believe I actually shot my first turkey today. It was so inspiring, and I just had to do it. And the only downfall with that was the people just scattered in the freezer section. No, yeah, it was a bad one. It was a Facebook joke. I probably didn't tell it very well. Let's see. What else do I have? I don't have too much left. I'm about out of stories. Hard to believe, I know, but I am just about out of stories. So let's throw it out. Let's cast our vote or cast our signal out to the world and see who's out there. W6CJX is net control.
Kilo 6, Delta Victor.
There's Ellen. I was wondering, I didn't know if you would chime in on this festive foodie evening or not. I know you said after a while you decided no more of these big, huge holiday parties. But I did a few of those. They were fun. And we definitely, I guess we're going to kind of do it this week too. We have our daughter and son-in-law coming over, and maybe what is she? She's my son-in-law's sister. So my sister-in-law? Yeah, I guess that would, no. Well, we'll work on that one. Let's say hello to Ellen. Maybe she knows how to untangle the web of history, of family history. That's what I'm trying to think of. Take it away, Ellen.
I'm not sure what you're talking about there, Bob. I thought it had something to do with outdoor cookery on a holiday, and if I'm off base here, did anybody talk about motorcycle camping and cooking yet?
No, but I'm hoping you would. Go ahead.
Well, I can't say I shot a turkey in the meat section. That just didn't happen. But when I'm camping and I'm traveling, I don't need to pack a week's worth of food like the backpackers, so I have no need for the freeze-dried stuff. I can usually I don't go to restaurants. I do not enjoy a restaurant environment ever on the road because that's way overpriced and way too much food, and I can't take home a Go Box. So I was thinking about it, 21 days on the road, and I was in restaurants 4 times. So all the rest of it's camping. So for me, going to the store is a real pre-planned outing, and I will be able to pack and carry on the bike enough food for some really nice meals for a few days, and then repurpose and replenish what I can. I don't have any way of keeping anything cold, so that's the bigger challenge. There's no ice chest floating around. I did have one on the trailer when I pulled the trailer behind the Goldwing, but I eschewed all of that for much more Spartan travel plans. And I really like things like the little tuna salad lunches. You pack those, you can put 3 or 4 of those in a saddlebag. And when I get really hungry, I'll go to the store before I know I'm going to be in a campsite where I can build a wood fire, and then I'll have me a steak. And of course, Bessie's along, so she gets all the leavings. I have to carry dog food for her as well. So packing efficiently is a science, and staying out of restaurants saves me tons of money, and camping does too. So I like to splurge a little bit on the quality of the meat or the contents of the meals. So back to you, Bob. Is that enough?
That is perfect. Absolutely perfect. Yeah, breaking it down as far as what you can take. There's quite a science, like you said, to packing efficiently and wisely. It goes along with like what we do with the island trip. You can't bring everything, but you can bring more than you can if you were backpacking, let's say, and you have to adjust where if you go, let's say, car camping, not motorcycle, but car camping, just throw it in there. You need it? I don't know. I might not. I'll bring it back home. I always brought extra wood, and sometimes I brought some of it back, or if I knew somebody was coming in, I might leave it for them, but most of the time I just keep it myself. Yeah, very good. I like that whole thing. Yeah, there's a lot of people are into the little tuna cups from Trader Joe's. I know some of them you can get in a can, not at Trader Joe's. I don't think they are. I think they're like made up. But the ones in the can that are just a little can that's already got your mayonnaise or whatever, and maybe some relish in it. Those are quite good, like you said. I've seen those before. They come with crackers and little wooden paddle to to put a vessel to get that good tuna up there onto the cracker. But those are come in handy too for like backpacking. I've taken those several times. Well, really good. Well, I'm hoping you have a great. Did I say great? Happy Thanksgiving, and I know you're thankful for everything, and as we are. We can't be any more thankful than we are, but that sure is a nice thing.
Recheck.
Recheck. We got a reject or recheck? Okay, well, it's probably Steve. All right, Ellen, thank you so much. Good to hear you tonight, and take care and say hello to Bessie for us. Let's take our recheck.
Sorry about that. WA6, Foxtrot Golf Whiskey. And as far as the keeping things cool, regular ice, of course, is so-so for long trips. But dry ice is quite commonly available at some of the different markets. So that's a good choice. And just wrap it a couple extra times so you don't have freezer burn on any of the stuff that you're bringing. And, check it every now and then. Make sure it isn't, how would you say, thawed as much as you hope it would be when you arrive.
Yeah, the old dry ice. We had quite a bit of experimenting going on the island trips. We had so many. I know Rick N6IET, he started out with just throwing a block of dry ice in his ice chest, and of course that was gone in about a day, just kind of evaporated. So then he started wrapping it with something. Well, of course, everything was frozen. That was the other thing. He said, I can't believe my lettuce is frozen. And it was. Everything froze because of the dry ice. Then he started wrapping it, I think, the next year. And then he finally got pretty fancy or high-tech. He got one of those, probably had it already, one of those neoprene zipper cases for your laptop. I'll just make that as easy as we can. Big black, long thing with the zipper on top. I have several of those. And he put the ice in there with maybe wrap it around something. And that actually worked, last about 2 or 3 days. And the only bad thing with that is that, especially out there on the island, we want, once it evaporates, it's gone. Or at least ice, I think my ice will last me about 3 days, maybe into 4, and then it's just ice cold water. But it's ice cold water. So, and I always freeze all my food first if I have some ahi tuna, I think I took last time, and some lamb chops. Those are all frozen, so that adds to the freezer section. Thank you, Steve. Sounds great. And there's all kinds of little tricks to do with food, and it's makes it nice sometimes to have a good meal out there. Makes you feel good. All right, this is W6CJX Bob with the Great Outdoor Net. And let's see, do we have any other takers out there tonight? We might get out of here early. Man, I can hang it up. No, I love being here. And I'll stay as long as you guys want to be here. But let's see if they have any other stations out there. Like check in, recheck, or if I missed you. I don't think so, but we'll take that.
Kilo Oscar 6 Delta Golf X-Ray. I literally turned on my phone about 5 seconds ago, so I hope I made it.
Well, in some places they do call radio phone. I always threaten to say, let's go to the phone lines, which is kind of a play on words because this kind of radio is phone. At least that's how they used to call it. Rick, you made it. How about that? Well, then you missed my Chef in the Forest story, but I don't know if you go back that far to Idlewild. That was back in the 60s, probably early 60s, mid 60s. And we had the Chef in the Forest, which then turned into the Chart House there at Fern Valley Corners. But either way, I'm going to send it back to you and see what you got. We're talking basically foodies for camping, backpacking, different things you want to take with you. Maybe some alternatives to the expensive freeze-dried stuff. But actually, this stuff's not bad, and you get what you pay for, I think. So please turn it over to you, Rick, and welcome.
Hey, thank you so much, Bob. I'm so glad I made it in. It was just by happenstance. I knew it was the night of the net, but I was tied up earlier, turned it on, here you were. So thanks for the clue in there. So basically, I would say this is what the latest is. It's not for like backpacking or stuff, but what I've been getting into and want to be doing, maybe I'll try it out tomorrow or this weekend. We're going to camp at Refugio on Saturday, but it's cooking with cast iron. So I've got these cast iron skillets and from this place called Lodge and Made in USA, good old stuff, and this one called a Dutch oven. So I'm going to learn a few recipes to make with a Dutch oven that you could like leave it over the campfire for hours while you're out hiking or whatever, come back. I don't know. It's variable, but it's kind of stuff like, it's one of the probably tools used way before like butane tanks and stuff by like the Pilgrims or even the people of Jamestown. That was like 1670 or something. But what was the other topic or comment? Oh, no, sorry I missed your recipe and stuff. But, dude, back in the day, you couldn't beat Jan's, right? With those pancakes that were like the size of sewer caps.
Yeah, they were big. Jan's Red Kettle, I think it's still there. Yeah, we knew them very well through the years. I went and did a little of that archive diving. That's pretty cool. And saw a bunch of old friends from the different markets, the Duttons that owned the Idlewild market down there in the center of town. And then I believe they also owned the Fern Valley Corners Market. And then I had worked next door at the Chalet. At that time, it was the Pantry at one time, I think. And then came the Chalet. And I worked there. That's where we used to have the snowball fights with the other cooks and wait staff down at the Chart House. I'll send it back to you if you have any comments.
Well, before I check out with you, just hoping everybody out there on the net has a wonderful holiday coming up. Have a lot of fun. Be safe and sane. Don't get stuck in traffic. And very grateful that I just happened to check in and catch you. I love to support your net, Bob. So thank you for what you do. And back over to you, KO6DJX.
Well, thank you, Rick, for supporting the net. I do appreciate that. I think a lot of people enjoy it. I do. I go back and listen to some of them, and it's like, wow. But, I've done some fun things with some of the past nets. So if you get a chance, then go to either the Papa System webpage, which we'd prefer you to do because you get you on the webpage there. Not too many people get on there. We like to get as many people on the Papa webpage as we can. Check things out, but you can drop down that one pancake thing at the top left, and it'll go to YouTube. And the latest one will be there, and you can get other archives. But I've added different things, music and stuff. I can get away with a little bit of it because of with the copyright legal stuff, but I'm not doing any monetary. In other words, not getting any money for putting those on YouTube. So it's just a service for the Papa System and just some fun for me, I suppose. But I've added some kind of neat things. So if you like the net, go back and listen to some of the archives. You'll be happy. And it's cleaned up a little bit. Not too many little things happening as we get. Thank you, Rick. As always, appreciate you. And I was listening to a little bit of your the guitar and the amplifier. We were talking to, I got who you're talking to now, Art maybe, or somebody. And that was interesting. That's always it goes kind of QSOs, so you learn something from different things. So, okay, with that, I think I'm going to close the net, unless we have one more last station out there that might like to come in. Let's see. I'll stand by. We're last call.
KK6 LMC.
Q2 Alpha Yankee Zulu.
Victor. We got Victor and Carolyn. All right, let's take Carolyn. I know she probably has a story or two, and we'll love to hear from you. Welcome, my dear.
Okay, sounds like a lot of people have some good ideas out there for food, but what I wanted to mention is that I haven't heard anybody talk about taking any fruit. Now, I know that fruit probably wouldn't last too long, but I would suggest that they can get a baggie and get some red grapes and then a couple of bananas, and that's kind of the way that I pack when we go camping, and just healthy stuff. You can do a small apple or something and take that along on the trail. It's much healthier than some of the stuff I've been hearing about, but all good ideas. Just thought I'd chime in. KK6LMC, clear.
Comment, DV.
Comment acknowledged. Well, Logan did mention peanut butter with honey and bananas. Man, I don't know, maybe that doesn't quite qualify. But yeah, why not an apple? I mean, you can take little tiny apples. We've got a few of them. And throw it in your backpack and take a crunch or two. And of course, you can always, throw the core out. I would imagine it's legal in the wild that some animal, a squirrel or a bird or someone will benefit from that. So not really considered, or it's organic trash. All right, let's take our comment. I think she's got a quick comment, and then we'll head over to Victor for our final check-in. Go ahead, Ellen.
Thank you, Bob. And Carolyn, you just planted a seed in my brain. I buy a bag of oranges, navels, in season, or cara, and I put them on a mandolin slicer and slice them about a 1/4 inch thick, and then I throw them in, without peeling, throw them into a dehydrator and make orange chips, which are super lightweight, easy to pack, and unbelievably delicious. That plus nuts and dried bananas. I'm talking dehydration here, not freeze-dried. A dehydrator. I'm looking at my Excalibur over there. It's a 9-tray dehydrator, and that puppy will push out the good dehydration foods at a real moderate price, and I can use my own recipes too. So since I have that here, when I go on a trip, I just throw some in with my clothes because they're so lightweight in their Ziploc bags, and off I go. I've got them for the whole trip. So thanks for pulling that out of my brain. I'd forgotten all about that aspect of having things to eat on the road. So back to you, Bob. Thank you for letting me back in for this little mini second. Bye. K6 TV.
For just a little bite. That's perfect. I love that. I never thought about taking an orange and making little 1/4 inch slices and then dehydrating it. So you don't lose with dehydration. I don't think you lose a whole lot of vitamins and good things because mainly you're just sucking all the moisture out or water. But wow, that sounds actually pretty good. I was kind of picturing those orange slices. They must be pretty neat. All right. Well, thank you, Ellen, for that. Thank you, Carolyn. And there we got our fruit and vegetables in there. And let's say hello to Victor, Whiskey 2, AYZ, Alpha Yankee Zulu.
Thank you, Bob. I just want to squeeze in to say at least say happy Thanksgiving, and want to a little bit comments on the Dutch oven cooking here in California. We try to recommend keep the fire at least 2 feet above ground so that doesn't damage any grass or anything. And nowadays, a lot of campground that they actually say you cannot use coals anymore, so or charcoals. So we love using charcoals for the Dutch oven cooking because gives a very mild and consistent fire. But now we have to learn to use propane and cook with Dutch oven. That's the adaptation in a way, but as long as the charcoal is allowed, it's always a good option. Say you want to 350 degrees of fire, just use the diameter of the Dutch oven -3, say 10 inch of Dutch oven is 7 pallets under and 13 pallets above it, so get 350 degrees of consistent temperature for Dutch oven. Just want to throw out there for the Thanksgiving week. Back to net W2AYZ.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the Dutch oven again, Victor. Everyone was talking about it earlier, and how there's some really good videos from these guys, kind of like what's his name, Kent Rowland. I think he's got a YouTube channel where he makes all kinds of cowboy food. Maybe it's Ken Rowland, but it's Ken or Kent. And he's got his old cowboy talk and swagger, and then he'll make up some real amazing food. But one of his things is Dutch oven, and of course you can put just about anything in there that we would put in an oven. And then, like you mentioned, you have your coals and everything underneath. But the other beautiful thing about that is if you have something that what requires heat all the way around, is to put the coals on top of the lid, and that way you can actually get the heat on top also. So that's something I didn't hear mentioned, but that's something I learned from Kent over there on YouTube University. All right, with that, I think we're going to go ahead and close the net. I do appreciate everybody out there tonight checking in with us. I got my little friend, let's see what we're going to name him, either Jiminy or Gwen. I thought Gwen was kind of cool, kind of cute, but it could be a boy cricket. And that's not him, by the way. That's the imitation crickets. They're a little more spontaneous, so you can kind of rely on them. He hasn't made any sound tonight, but he's still here. I hope he stays around. I love little crickets. So with that, I want to thank everyone for checking in tonight. Of course, it wouldn't be a net without you guys participating, and hope everyone has a wonderful and a very flavorful, since this was a foodie net, flavorful Thanksgiving, regardless what you eat, whether it be turkey or not. But it's always and ham's always good too at Thanksgiving. I want to thank the Papa System for letting us have these great nets that we have every night of the week. And of course, Cecil with his legendary leadership and all the tech team that does work so hard to keep these things going. You can just imagine. Take a look at the repeaters one day, boy, and you got to double and triple it, because you've got analog and you've got DMR and you've got P25 and D-Star. So look at all that. That's a lot to maintain and keep it all going. So give them some love when you see them. If they're one of the fiestas, hope to see everyone there at the fiesta. So I'm going to go ahead and close the net at 21:19 and say 7-3, and have a great week ahead. W6CJX.